Hi, I'm Tim Andrews, Courageous Hearts Coaching.
Hi, and I'm Jackie DeVito, and this is the Courageous Hearts podcast.
Yes, it is. And today we want to talk about.
Today, we want to talk about what really goes on in couples therapy.
Yeah, there's a lot of points to what really goes on in couples therapy. People think it's. I don't know if people really know what goes on. I believe most people, in my experience, come to couples therapy for the therapist to fix the coupleship.
I think people come to couples therapy so that the therapist can tell the other person that they're wrong and that they're,
Yeah,
that their
that's the other piece.
partner's
Yes,
right.
that's right.
Like,
I
we're
see
going to
that.
present our cases. It's like a WWF SmackDown. And then you say who the winner is.
That's right. I believe that has been my experience many times with these couples therapy sessions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come in a lot of people come to couples therapy in crisis, and I just believe in being in couples therapy throughout the experience of their relationship, which helps navigate and prevent the crisis.
Yes. So like preventative
Couples
like
therapy.
preventative medicine.
Yep.
Like that's a big thing right now, right? Going to doctors not because you're sick, but for longevity. I think therapy should be looked at the same way. Like,
I do too.
come to therapy for preventative care and longevity.
Yeah, so many people come in this like, he did this, she did that, someone,
Like a last resort.
yeah, as a last resort instead of as an ingredient to help have the best relationship possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole premise behind extraordinary relationships is continuing to do the work on a consistent basis. And so what couples therapy seems to be is what you said: pick what's right, tell me, fix the situation, choose a side, make sure the other person knows. What our version of couples therapy is, I can't speak to what other people's version of couples therapy is that we get to navigate responsibility in these coupleships, and we get to see core patterns and belief systems that are creating the experience we're having inside the couples.
Yeah. So I want to go one step further and explain how we do couples therapy.
Okay.
Which, by the
Yep,
way,
that's good.
was done in a way that was more organic than intentional and has really been amazing. So I don't even know how the heck it happened, but Tim and I started doing couples therapy together. I think you were seeing one person individually in a coupleship. I was seeing another person individual of the same coupleship. So either I was seeing the husband and you were seeing the wife, or vice versa. And I think one day we said, okay, let's just the four of us get together and do 2 hours, which created a dynamic in that room that was really special. Because what occurred was, if you guys have ever listened to any other of our podcasts, we really work off this theory or this basis that we are recreating our childhood in relationships. It's not our theory. This is a family of origin theory. It's something that has been studied. And what happens if you've ever been to couples therapy, it's the couple and one therapist. So the gender of that therapist is going to matter. And I notice it when I'm in therapy with a couple. Now, sometimes the male in the relationship, the husband, can feel, because I'm a female, that I'm going to somehow, we're going to gang up on him. Or if they have any type of like mom wound, if somebody has a mom wound, then I'm at a disadvantage as their therapist because they're going to have a hard time receiving feedback from me. And, same with you being a male coming into a relationship with maybe a man that doesn't trust other men, or a female that doesn't trust men. Somebody in that coupleship is not going to be able to get the same out of it. Might be more of a protective state.
Yeah, that's part of why we put this together, unbeknownst to us. I mean,
Yes,
we saw this work at workshops that we went to and taught. It shows up, and it was interesting. One of the last ones that we had done, which was really easy to see, was when the male was talking to me, he was on point and he was quiet and he was looking. And then when he talked to you, he was short, interruptive, and passive aggressive. With one of the experiences that you shared around something that went on in your relationship, and
Oh, yeah, I remember.
yeah,
I know
remember
what you're
that?
talking
That was a
about.
little
Yeah.
pop, huh? And then go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I just got excited thinking
Oh,
about that
yeah,
moment, what we saw.
yeah. Well, we were able to see, and I was able to see it, and I was able to say, "Hey, you just took a shot. This goes on in your relationship, and because if it didn't, it wouldn't go on here. It just happened right before our very eyes." And then we were able to work with him on how do you feel? Where did this come from? What are you making it mean? And then the other piece of that is you were able to stand in a position of power to talk about how it made you feel.
Right.
And then we get to see how his wife feels.
Well, ultimately, it's what it feels like to be in relationship
Yep.
with that individual. And we
Yep.
see that it really is such a gift because we get to see the relationship dynamic play out in real time that would probably not show up in a regular, like, one therapist session.
Yep.
And the other part of it is like there's always a pair of eyes watching. Where when you're in therapy alone with a couple, you're part of the dynamic, whatever that is, you're interacting. And it's hard to kind of see everything that's going on when you're part of the interaction.
Yep.
So because I was interacting with him, and then I'll be honest, I didn't even realize it was a shot. And because you were not part of the dynamic, you were able to kind of see that, which then opened the door to how his wife how I felt, which is how his wife felt, which then went back to his anger around his childhood and his mom and how he makes his wife his mom at times. So there's so much information that we are able to get out of these sessions because of the way we were trained and because you have the female and male energy in the room.
And in that moment of time, that intervention, it's where truth and integrity break through, pop, because you can't hide in that moment. And the healing aspect of it is that we get to sit and be with them as they process where did this come from, how did this happen, and there's grief around how they've been treating their partner.
Sure. Well, that's what I was going to say is that it's so much that comes out in the room when we're there is unconscious or subconscious, whatever. They don't even realize that they're doing it or why they're doing it. So when we're able to kind of catch it and then walk them through what just happened, there is a lot of healing there. Like you said, it's really like the aha moment.
It's beautiful to be able to catch. Can we share something that happened last night? I just thought it was really cool, like
Depends what it is.
around you not seeing what you were doing, basically talking about what was going on for you, and then you want to share it. I think it was a really cool because this is how the unconscious shows. This is how you can't hide.
Well, there were so many things that happened. Was it when I was sitting?
When you were sitting on your leg, I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty.
Okay.
Cool.
Or was it when I went into story for like an hour?
Well, it was a two-parter. I mean, you went into story for a very long time, and that was just it's your process. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. So I wanna
because it feeds into this. This is about like how we show up.
Sure. I wanna preface this by saying everything we do with our clients, we do for ourselves or have done for ourselves. So we're not just kind of like coming from this like ivory tower. So Tim and I, our motto is we healing at all costs. Like we go away to workshops, we work with our mentor Rita, we do Joe Dispenza. I mean, we do so many different breath work. We do therapy. We do so much work on ourselves, which allows us to kind of be open and bring, because we're all the same, right? Like if it's happening to me, it happens to you. It might not look the same, but it's all the same. So anyway, long story short, we were at our mentor's house last night doing work, and I was sitting on my left leg, my left foot. And she said, because the left side is feminine, the right side is masculine. And my right foot was planted very firmly on the ground as I was telling her a story about something I wanted to work on, something that was upsetting me. And she said, "Why do you sit on your feminine power?" And I did not know the answer, because it's really hard when it's happening to you in the moment, or it's about you. Joe Dispenza says, can't see the label when you're in the jar.
That's
and when
right.
I'm in my shit, I'm in the jar. And I was like, why do I sit on my feminine power? And she said, you sit on your feminine power because you depend solely on your masculine side when you are, I don't remember her exact wording, but it's like when
you're in conflict
I'm in conflict,
or
when I don't
angry.
feel safe,
Yep.
I move into my masculine. And I thought about it, and first of all, like, yes, all the time, yes. I'm not, some people get small when they get scared or they're sad, or I get big. I get into like, how fucking dare you? Who do you think you are? I get big, and I could be so sad and you would never know, because that never felt safe for me. Being soft in those moments is I have to consciously, that's conscious work for me. So I thought about it, and I said, yeah, growing up, that's what I saw as feminine power. I grew up with women that did it just like I did. Either that, or it was some sort of like overt sexuality, or using, your looks or whatever. It wasn't true feminine power. And she looked at me and said, how are you going to work on this, creating more softness from the left? And I was like, again, in the jar, I'm like, I don't know. And it was cute. She said, well, you got to figure it out, because what she said was like, really, I was thinking about that when I went home at night. She said, that's when our body will develop diseases, and they'll take hold in the weakest parts of our body. And she talked about her story of developing breast cancer, and she's very similar to me in that sense as well, where she tends to lead with her masculine. And she developed breast cancer on her left breast. So when we went home that night, I was like, how do I develop my feminine? And you said some really amazing things. So first, obviously, we always talk about the little girl and the little boy, the inner child work. Second, I get to practice being soft and feminine with my daughters. That I am, until I feel triggered, I feel unsafe, I feel sad, then I get like,
and the minute you feel like you're not going to get what you want,
and like I'm not going to
because
get what I
that's a belief
want.
system from your childhood. I can't have what I want. So the minute you feel like you can't get what you want, shows up today, like Alina wanting to do something with somebody else and not the family. And so that minute and it's like, you did real.
Turn into
much
Cuban
better
Jackie.
Yeah,
Cuban Jackie with the neck roll. Yeah.
It's true. It just shows up. You did, but by the way, you did real good today. You're like, because we were still able to laugh. We were still able to like have some fun. You didn't get like locked in it. So there's movement in that for you. Just to show
Tim
you.
does this thing with my dog. When my dog isn't listening, he goes. I feel like that's what he did in the car when I was like, no, yeah. Oh, okay, babe, we'll talk about this later. I love you. Yeah, and then you said something really awesome. You're like, I think you should dance. And I was like, I love to dance. I really love to dance.
I know you do.
That is such a great space for me to practice.
I know.
My femininity and my softness.
And that shows up when you and I are working together with somebody that has
Yes.
this ability to point stuff out that because like a masculine and a masculine, they're not going to be able to work it out. Like we need the masculine, we need the polarity in a relationship in order to create connection.
Well, we need it within ourselves,
Sure.
right? Because I don't want to be like the dainty Southern belle
Nope.
either. There's a lot of things that the masculine energy in me is awesome. Like I know how to hustle. I know how to go from point A to point B. So there's a lot of stuff that I get to have when I'm in that energy. I'm very entrepreneurial. There's just awesome stuff there. But it's when that is a my dominant, then I'm not balanced.
And oftentimes, not only your dominant, it becomes your primary. It becomes your only.
It becomes, yeah.
And not even. I mean, it just becomes the only access that you have to safety.
Yeah. I think we all get to have both.
Yes.
That's really like the best recipe. And you said something like this is why it's so important to work with someone, because we talk about this all the time with our couples. We talk about them, the male standing in his masculine. And masculine doesn't mean like you go hunting and have big muscles. It means you create safety.
That's right.
You create safety, you lead. So like we don't want to swing the pendulum too far. And I think many people don't even know what it means to be in your divine masculine or your divine feminine or in your masculine. But really, the masculine is creating safety and leading. And the feminine is she receives and then she multiplies.
Right.
So together, it is a very powerful combination. But it doesn't mean that the guy comes home and is like, cook me dinner, woman, because that's not true leading.
Nope.
And that's not safety.
Nope. And that's not partnership.
That's
either.
not partnership.
That's a lot of the things that we teach in these couple sessions is like, how can we do partnerships? How do we create win-wins? How do we leave both feeling seen and heard and connected?
Right.
Because so much of this work that we're doing is about, or so much of the pain that's caused is about not feeling seen, not being connected, not being a part of, not being able to speak our truth, being able to be who we were meant to be, quite frankly, in our relationship before the damage.
Yeah. I want to make one point and another point. I have 2 points.
You have 2 points?
So the one is just back to the importance of working with someone, because I know how to see it in other people. I know how to help other people work on their masculine or what it means to be in your feminine and how to have the balance. And when I'm doing what I do, when I'm in protection, I don't see what I'm doing.
Nope. Nor do I. And to your point, that is the importance of, you said it earlier, if you're with somebody that's not in therapy, if you're with a therapist or a coach that isn't doing therapy, then they can only take you as far as they're willing to go, and there's always a next.
Absolutely. Can you imagine how boring life would be if there wasn't
Always
a next?
I know. We would sit around and pontificate about the history, and that's the importance. And I know that's why we are. Did you have another point to make? Did you make both?
I
points?
did, but
Go
I
ahead.
can wait till
I
you're done.
want to. This would be partnership, please. I want to make sure that you're able to make your other point.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
How the feminine and masculine dynamic shows up for us. I have like a great example.
Go ahead.
I helped you redo your bathroom.
Yep.
And you were awesome because you were really open to all my ideas. And when I didn't know what to choose, when I had like 3 pieces of tile in front of me and I was like, I don't know which one I like, you were like, that one. And then I was like, okay, that one. And then that allowed me to keep creating, which is really the dynamic of the masculine and the feminine. The masculine, you led when you helped me with that decision, when you decided that one. And then I got to keep creating.
And if you think about that, that was back when we were friends.
Yeah.
We were just friends, like,
We were
and we were
friends.
working together as
Mm-hmm.
we did some work together, but we were back. That was back when we were friends, and when we were able to do a form of partnership where it was supported, because that was where a lot of growth happened for both of us in that moment of time.
Yeah.
To let someone help me, which is growth for me because I don't let anybody help me, and then
Mm-hmm.
to also choose,
Mm-hmm.
and then and for you too, I'm sure, to be helpful and useful, and then to get stuck and to have someone be supportive of you. I mean, we both come from a place that we do it alone.
Oh my God. I'm just laughing because if you want to see this in real time, not working well, go to the shoe store of any department store. There's always a guy there that looks miserable and a girl trying to decide, from like 5 pairs of shoes. And the guy's like, I don't know, versus like, I like that one.
hmm I mean, we'll get it. We can do a whole podcast around the masculine and feminine
Oh,
because
yes.
there's
I
such
love
a,
this.
it's important, and there are roles, and we get to see those dynamics show up in the way in which that you and I do couples therapy with couples,
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of teaching. And the other thing that we show is to the coupleship is how we do partnership. Hey, excuse me. Hey, can I say something? Hey,
Could you have a point to
let me
make?
finish.
Mm-hmm.
Or and what just happened
Mm-hmm.
was me asking you, hey, I know you have another. You said you had something else that you wanted to say,
Mm-hmm.
which is teaching. Like, look, I hear you,
Yeah.
and you're seeing. I hear you.
What you have to say
What you,
matters.
what you have to say matters, and it starts to change. Like, this is how coupleships can work.
Yeah, and I've always said there's a real deep healing that happens in our relationship for me because it changes that story
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't seen or that what I have to say, doesn't matter or I'm not important. Whatever these little belief systems that we carry,
Mm-hmm.
big belief systems that we carry around. When you stop and say, "Hey, did you have another point to make?" There's like a little piece of my heart.
I've seen,
A little
it's
piece of my heart.
practice. It's practice, and we teach. This is what we teach.
We do
We
teach
we
them.
we practice what we teach, and we teach what we practice. And that is authentic.
Yeah.
There's an authenticity behind all of that.
Yep. I want to add something else that happens in those sessions is this type of work builds intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we do, like, let's call it old school couples therapy, where there's one client, it's really, there is some refereeing that goes on
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of slinging of she did this, he did that, or this is. But when you and I kind of work with these couples, first of all, I don't think an hour is enough. I think it should be 2 hours. I think it should be male, female. It moves away from accusations and your partner being bad to watching what's really underneath the behavior, which drives a lot of empathy and emotional intimacy. And
Yep.
we get to see our partner through a different lens of like, oh, they're just really in a lot of pain, or, really that's where a lot of this comes from, is just deep rooted pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can move closer to our partner and to what needs to happen to get what ultimately the coupleship needs and wants, versus you against me,
Mm-hmm.
you're bad, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great dynamic.
There's one other thing I wanted to say that you coined this. Most, in our experience, personally and collectively, most coupleships settle for just enough. They don't believe they can have it all. They don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that there's more available, and they'll settle for just enough. And the fear of not being able to leave completely encompasses the relationship.
Yeah.
And this isn't about them leaving as much as it is about finding their identity, choosing what they want through the healing process because I've been in multiple situations where, to the earlier point, people stay because they're getting just enough. And then they do ulterior things, buy things, get an extracurricular activity, one way, shape, or form, and don't handle what's in front of them and settle like they did in their childhood.
Yeah. Right. We're not working on communication. We're working on identity.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're absolutely working on identity. And when we find that, when we get a little closer to our whole selves, we can start choosing what we want. Because to our point earlier, we didn't choose the relationship from power and freedom. Our belief system chose the relationship, although they may have fit our, they might have had the look, they might have had, they might have had some things in common, but the belief system was in charge of the entire experience.
Yep.
From a soul's perspective, I believe, you
Right.
believe, I would say, so that we could heal.
Sure. Yeah, I've had couples that from the outside have it all.
Mm-hmm.
They have the fancy memberships and the big homes and have done really well from a monetary standpoint. And they don't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And not just from a coupleship standpoint, but from an individual standpoint. And it's because, first of all, it's built from a place of not good enough. So it's the striving is like, I need this to feel good enough, which we know is never really going to fill that hole. And the other part is really around, it's not about the things. It's not even about, like when we do therapy, about the tools. It's really learning what is at the core of it all. What is driving these feelings, these thoughts, these behaviors? And because a lot of people will blame it on their partner, but the truth is, if they break up tomorrow, we say this all the time, they will find another relationship and they will create the same exact thing.
That's right.
It may feel, or sorry, it may look different. One person might be loud, the other person might be quiet, one person might be tall, the other person might, it might look different, but you will end up ultimately feeling the same because it is your belief system that's driving the whole thing.
Yep. And that is something that we have personal experience in. And that is something that we have been able to see. It's why we wrote this book.
It's why we
really
wrote the book.
To bring it into
Ta-da!
people's life and make the book easy to read.
Yep.
And create some awareness around,
yep.
exercising some awareness around our truth. And this is going on in every relationship. It doesn't matter.
Well, if you're human,
yep,
then this is going on.
This is going on
in your life.
Yep.
Unless you've done work.
That's right. And even if you've done work and you stop doing work, it'll start reoccurring again.
For sure.
That's what always tends to happen too.
For sure. It's so funny, right? Like we do this for a living, and sometimes I come to work and I'm like, and you say to me, well, have you been talking to your little girl? And I'm like, no. Have you been doing XYZ? Are you meditating? No. Are you working out? No. Okay, well, get back on it. A lot of people they don't see, I like to describe it a lot like going to the gym, mental health and that kind of portion of our life. If you are not doing the work, if you're not doing the things, because we do a lot of things, we do breath work, we do workshops, we do all the things we talk about, to have the level of relationship and the life and all the things that we have, the careers that we have, then it's just going to go back to those old feelings. It's just like the gym. If you go to the gym and you get in shape and then you're like, okay, good, I'm there, and you stop going to the gym, you're going to get back into that old shape that you weren't.
You're going to go back to where you were.
Yeah, you're going to go back to dissatisfaction in how you look.
Yeah, a tire always finds its rut, even if you pull it out. And there's one more thing I'd like to say, and then we can give 3 points because I think we're running to a place here where we have to close. I say this to people all the time, whether it be a female or male, and I work with people that are successful and whatnot and have good businesses or whatever they may do. And I'm always like, if you think that you have to do less work in your personal relationship with your spouse than you do in your actual business that creates all this abundance for you, you are out of your mind.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's the same work. It's
It
just that you
is.
get to see for extraordinary.
Right.
I mean, you can settle.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can.
settle. You can
Sure.
settle for the woman or the man that's like, participating in whatever the extracurricular activity it is that they participate in. Whether it doesn't mean buying stuff, could be affairs, it could be,
Or it could just be mediocre, feeling
yeah,
alone.
all of that. You can settle for less, or you can create more.
Yeah.
Mm.
I choose to create more. How about
Today,
you?
I choose to create more. I'm not going to settle for less. I'm not doing it. I did it.
Uh-uh.
I created it and did it for a long time.
Yeah. But the great part about creating it is that means you can change it,
That you're in charge.
that you're in charge.
That's responsibility.
That's and freedom.
Total freedom.
Yep.
Okay. I believe
3 things.
3 things.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead. You can do it.
That last point, just when we have this propensity of blaming outside people and factors for our situation, that is really a place of powerlessness. So I think when we can look at how am I creating this in my relationship, what is in my control, there is so much power in that because that's the only thing we can control. So if we're creating it, then we can change it. So I think that's a really important part in that last point. So look at how am I creating this relationship where I'm not being seen or where I don't feel heard or where I feel alone, and what's in my power to do it different. I think be open to new therapeutic modalities and processes because we do so many different things. We do experiential work, we do this intensive work, we do meditation retreats, and I think they all kind of have their own little flavor of healing. And third is this work is hard in the beginning. It takes a lot of courage to do this work because it's like you built this beautiful house. You built this beautiful house with a garden, but its foundation is not really sturdy. So we got to kind of go in there and stir everything, kind of bring everything down, fix some stuff. But what you get to build on that foundation, on that solid foundation, I could get emotional, is so worth it when you get on that other side. And all it takes is courage, faith, commitment.
Yes, it does.
And we can all have this.
That's it. It's possible for everyone.
Absolutely.
It's not a secret. And we live in possibilities today.
And we are living proof. We did this work.
And we will continue.
Yep. And now we teach it. Yep.
Yeah, we're not gonna pull back from the work. And it's all possible. That's just something I want to leave with. So if you'd like to know more about this, and we have workshops. We do 4 or 5 workshops during the course of the year. We have a book, Courageous Hearts, that Jackie and I wrote, our Courageous Connections. If you want to know more, go to our website, courageousheartscoaching.com. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. And thank you, Tim. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, my love.